Good morning, friends, and welcome to a live news conference coverage. This is going to be extended coverage on the missing moms from Kansas, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. This is a story that's taken the nation by storm, and it's also being talked about worldwide. These two moms went out to pick up Veronica's children in a custody battle that was going on since a while back. But March 30th was the last time they were seen or heard from. And this is a case that's very, very troubling because we hear about this so much. You know, people losing their lives over custody battles over children. And it's just a reoccurring problem that we see over and over again. And my heart breaks for the families, the community, the law enforcement, and everybody that's involved in this. Heck, the woman that went to go with her, Jilian Kelley, is a preacher's wife. She was just there to try to keep the peace. Court ordered an acquaintance by all measures. But I want to just say, guys, before we get into this press conference, I think today we're going to hear from the FBI and the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations. We're going to definitely hear about a identification process. And that happens relatively quickly at the medical examiner's office. The two bodies were recovered on Saturday, and arrests were made and bodies recovered shortly thereafter. The arrests were made Saturday. The bodies were recovered shortly thereafter. And medical examiner's office, where they were transported to, is well equipped to do a quick identification. But I want to just say thank you to the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the replay viewers, the moderators, and all of you guys for being here. If you're sensitive to any of this type of stuff, this press conference may have a lot of sensitive topics that they're going to be talking about. We got tons of blood at the crime scene where the vehicle was abandoned. This case is difficult at best. Again, thank you, Texas Lassie, for being a member for 50 plus months. Thank you for all you do and your friendship. I greatly appreciate you. Let's take a peek quick at this while we're waiting. I'm waiting for NewsNation to go live with this. If you guys know of any other outlets that are covering this press conference, it's going to be at 11 o'clock Oklahoma time. If anybody knows anywhere else where it's being broadcast, let me know. Send me some message somewhere on social media, and I'll get to it. Thank you for being here. Let's take a listen. This is coverage from NewsNation just 50 minutes ago.
2 bodies found in a rural area of Oklahoma are being examined today. Authorities are trying to determine whether or not they belong to the 2 mothers from Kansas who went missing over Easter weekend. Kelsey is here with us. Kelsey, talk about major developments that came in this weekend, including SWAT storming in for arrests. Our crews were there for the entire thing as it unfolded.
Yeah, hey there, Marky. That was a shocking scene, and we're going to get to that. But right now, I can tell you that officials, they are trying to now identify those 2 bodies that were found, and they're trying to determine the cause of death. Investigators say that they fear that these 2 bodies are of the 2 missing women, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. There were also several arrests this weekend. Right now, these 4 individuals here on your screen are suspected in the disappearance of the 2 women. They are currently being housed in a Texas county jail, each facing first-degree murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy charges. 54-year-old Tiffany Adams, her boyfriend, Tad Collum, and Cole and Cora Twombly. And Tiffany Adams is the grandmother of the 2 children that Veronica Butler was on her way to pick up on March 30th. Adams, we know, was fighting against more visitation. Oklahoma investigators have not said what led them to charge these 4 suspects. But take a look at this video here, only seen here on NewsNation. More than 20 SWAT and police vehicles headed to various locations in Texas and Cimarron counties in Oklahoma. Outside of one compound, we know that NewsNation overheard an officer using a loudspeaker saying, "We have a warrant for your arrest." The officers were heavily armed and cautious towards anyone who approached them, even our team at NewsNation. Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley were on their way to pick up Butler's 2 children from school when they went missing last month. Their car was later spotted on the side of the road, abandoned. We know Butler was in a bitter custody battle with the father of her children. Kelley was a court-approved supervisor during Butler's visitation. Now, we have learned that just 10 days before the women went missing, Butler filed a petition seeking full custody of her children, and that court hearing would have been this Wednesday. The two moms' close-knit community are deeply grieving over their loss.
We read in the Bible that evil is in the world, and some people that don't know Jesus Christ are full of evil. As a Christian, we should forgive, but we also have to have
Search for the two missing mothers and the bodies that they found later on this morning. Marky, we will be following this.
Yeah, we'll be interested to see what OSBI has to share. And thinking of those families, those kids this morning, Kelley.
And I think what we'll hear from OSBI is, and that's the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations, we will get a positive ID on these two victims. And again, just not a lot of information. It's not in their best interest to release a lot of information, but we saw a ton of work going on over the weekend. I'm still recovering from shoulder surgery, so I've got my shoulder brace on. I'm really limited in some of the research and the actual energy that I could put into these things. But I wanted to also show you some coverage from NewsNation. They're doing an unbelievable job.
We do have breaking news to get to right now.
Nancy Liu is boots on the ground, and she's all over the place in that local rural area. And if you look at in this next piece, you're going to see some overhead shots. It is as rural can get. Like, I am shocked that quickly they were able to get these women's remains recovered right after the arrest. And what I think, as a seasoned investigator, is that one or more of these four degenerates, one or more of these four monsters who viciously took two people's lives, they're standing charged with first-degree murder. They must have been interviewed and interrogated, not only by the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations, but perhaps the FBI sat in on it. They were interviewed and interrogated, and they gave up the information, because finding these women's remains is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I was really worried that they were never, ever going to be able to find them. But I think that more than likely, and I could be wrong, but I think more than likely they flipped. One or more of them flipped. Let's take a listen. This is from last night.
We do have breaking news to get to right now. Just coming into our newsroom, a sad ending. The bodies believed to be the two Kansas moms found by police in Oklahoma. This information just coming in right now. 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jilian Kelley, last seen March 30th. Tiffany Adams, a grandmother of one of the kids, one of the people now arrested after Butler and Kelley disappeared. Let's get straight to NewsNation's Nancy Liu live on the ground for us tonight. Nancy, tell us what you're learning now.
Well, Natasha, it's yet more deflating news for these communities in the Oklahoma Panhandle. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations had told me that they were searching vast areas of rural Texas County for the two women. And just minutes ago, we heard from OSBI that, along with the FBI and the Texas County Sheriff's Department, in a joint operation, they have recovered two deceased persons in rural Texas County, and both individuals are being transported to the Oklahoma Office of the Chief Medical Examiner to determine identification and cause of manner of death. So that means there is no positive identification that these bodies are Jilian Kelley and Veronica Butler. But of course, this discovery happened during their massive search for the two women. We are expecting a news conference tomorrow from the OSBI, and of course, NewsNation will bring that to you live. They have provided very little information about their investigation all along. They have kept things very close to the vest, but this is exclusive video from just yesterday. NewsNation on the ground capturing this exclusive footage as they closed in on the four suspects who they arrested yesterday, including.
So this is some of that drone footage that NewsNation took that I wanted to show you guys. This is drone footage from some of the locations, and you get to see how wide open of an area it is, and how many possibilities and how many places these women's remains could have been placed by the perpetrators who perpetrated this crime, the heinous criminals who snuffed the life out of a 27-year-old mother of two and a 39-year-old mom as well, Jilian Kelley, and Veronica Butler. This just, when you look at this, it's just massive. And the possibilities are just endless of where their remains could have been put. So I think it's, I think it's great that they were able to interview and interrogate these folks and flip them. Oblivious Benson's in the chat, and she said they had over 1,000 acres of their own property, right? Yeah, Sherilyn Schofner. Yeah, they call it no man's land. And again, if anybody knows of, I know that NewsNation is going to cover this live, but I always like to have a backup source. So if somebody can find another outlet, maybe a local outlet that is covering this news conference live, it should be hitting off shortly. We know that these things never go off on time, but please send it to me via social media on a direct message or text message.
Yesterday, including Tiffany Adams, who is the grandmother to Butler's kids. And it's suspected that a custody dispute may be linked to all of this, what has turned out to be a case.
Isn't that crazy that a custody dispute, and again, Tiffany Adams, Tad Burt Cullum, Cora Twombly, Cole Earl Twombly. I mean, these folks, and I looked at the ages, 54, right? That's a hard 54 right there. I'm going to be turning 60 on Friday, and I mean that's a rough 54 years old in my opinion. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the chat. But there's Tad Burt Cullum. Just like when you look at the ages on these folks, like he's 43, right? Look at Cora, she's 44. I mean, not too bad when you compare it to Tiffany, but you look at these folks, and man, these are the faces of evil. There is enough evidence for a district attorney to bring first-degree murder charges against all of these. And don't forget, there could be one person here or multiple people here that committed the actual physical act of the murder. And it's more than likely we're going to hear from the medical examiner or the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations or the FBI that the cause and manner of death is more than likely going to be by a murder by gunshot. We're going to get the cause and manner of death. So you look at these people and you just shake your head and say, what? Over custody, over children? Now that these children don't have a mother anymore.
The grandmother to Butler's kids. And it's suspected that a custody dispute may be linked to all of this, what has turned out to be a case of double murder. But again, the breaking news tonight is that two bodies have been recovered. There's no positive identification of these two bodies. They are now on the way to the medical examiner's office, but these bodies were recovered during the search for these two women. Veronica, bodies were recovered.
And this is what this case is all about. These are their Facebook photos. Jilian Kelley on the right and Veronica Butler. I mean, this is so sad. So again, I'm going to continue with this.
During the search for these two women, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. So yet more deflating news to an already tragic story, Natasha.
Yes, certainly. And I know you've been pointing out all night, Nancy, there are 6 children in all of this left without their mothers, but we have
total of 6 children left without their mothers. Just horrific.
Appreciate you bringing that breaking update straight to us. Nancy Liu live in Texas.
So Nancy Liu, kudos to you for some unbelievably great coverage on this case. And I always like to go locally for coverage, but I got to say, NewsNation, boots on the ground, did an unbelievable job. And here's some local coverage from Oklahoma News 4. So let's take a listen to what they had to say.
And 4 people arrested in connection to the disappearance of some Kansas mothers, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. We've been telling you their story.
And then yesterday, police found 2 bodies in rural Texas County. News 4's Natalie Clydesdale joins us now live in studio with more information on these missing moms. Natalie.
That's right, Allie and Kent. Well, a news conference where more details will be released is scheduled for later today. But right now, we know that Butler and Kelley have been missing for more than 2 weeks. They were going to the Panhandle to pick up Butler's children, but on March 30th, their car was found abandoned right along the Kansas-Oklahoma state line along a dirt path.
The abandoned vehicle that was found along that road had information that they were able to gather that showed signs that there was foul play.
Well, according to NewsNation, Butler and the father of her children were involved in a bitter custody battle. 10 days.
Look at the place where they went to do this exchange. I don't know about you. Let me know in the chat, and I'm going to put myself back on a little bit here. I don't know about you, and listen, I'm not pointing any fingers. I just don't think it was a good judgment call. Maybe there was no other options. I don't know, but I just say to myself, as soon as I saw that location, that abandoned gas station, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but like, my God.
Before she went missing, she had filed a petition in court for more visitation with her children.
Right. Oblivious Benson, I mean, and many others. Melanie Little did an unbelievable job of covering this case with a local. Now, I watched Melanie's replay of her coverage when these arrests were made. She did an unbelievable job. She had like 9,000 people in her chat watching her, and she had a local woman doing her coverage. She's been on this thing, and she was live with her in her car out at these locations, and we were getting on the replay these bird's eye views of this location, and it was just unbelievable. And I saw that the court may have directed. Thank you, Onside. But that, again, if the court made the decision for them to meet there, I know that you're talking about it, that the court directed you a meetup spot for an exchange here, or directs anybody. But if you feel that that's an unsafe place, you got to speak up. Somebody's got to speak up and say, hey, there's nobody around there. Can't we meet at the police station? Can't we meet at a sheriff's station, or have a sheriff come out, or have a deputy come out? I know it's not always, the manpower in these rural areas are very limited, but I mean, there had to have been a better option. But yeah, it is what it is, right? People saying there was no other options. There was not many other places, but I don't know. I find that hard to believe.
Children, and was hoping to get full custody. Well, 54-year-old Tiffany Adams, 43-year-old Tad Cullum, 50-year-old Cole Twomley, and 44-year-old Cora Twomley were arrested over the weekend. All 4 people are facing several charges, including 2 counts of kidnapping.
All right, I'm going to stop it because I want to start searching for the press conference. I want to see if NewsNation has it. Anybody monitoring that for me? Because I was just looking for, here we go, NewsNation Live. Let's see what they got. Okay.
That we followed
Thank
that
you,
law
Lady
enforcement
Trucker.
convoy to several.
Thank you, Lady Trucker, for the $50 super chat. She's happy early birthday, DutyRon. I've not been around due to working a lot. I know you're on the road. Be safe. Thank you for the generous super chat. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. That is very kind. Wendy, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate you. Let me go to all of these quickly. I'm sorry that I'm doing this fast. Thank you, Wendy, for your support. Thank you, Lady Trucker. I want to listen to what they're saying here.
Yelling, we have a warrant for your arrest. So there were several properties that we went to following this law enforcement convoy. At one point, they split and went into a field. We followed the SWAT team further down, and now
this is NewsNation Live, folks. So we're just waiting.
House.
And Nancy, do we know where the bodies were located in relation to this property where the arrests were made?
For now, OSBI is only saying that it was in a rural part of Texas County. We do not know where those bodies were recovered. We also don't know, what state the remains are in. We're hoping to learn more about that when we hear from law enforcement, but no, they have not said where the bodies were located. And also they're stressing that, the bodies were transported to the medical examiner's office and it's pending identification, it's pending a manner of death. But obviously, the belief is it is the remains of Veronica and Jilian because they were found during the search for these two women.
Just heartbreak continues for those families. Nancy, we'll come back to you when the press conference gets underway and we get this update from authorities there in Oklahoma. Thank you. A live look now in New York outside the courthouse in Manhattan, where history is unfolding at this hour. Donald Trump, the first president.
Okay. So I was just typing up something to you guys. I'm going to keep monitoring that closely. I'm putting in the chat here who feels that there could have been a better exchange spot. And again, this is after the fact. We're not Monday morning quarterbacking it, but I'm just thinking ahead of this, like for future people that are going through this custody battle situation, women, men and women that are out there, especially the women. If you're in a situation like this where you have bad choices to make where it comes to a custody exchange, I know that we want to get to see our children. I know that we want to comply with the court orders, but you have to be your own advocate. And I think that, you should jump up and down. If it's not a safe thing, we saw with Cassie Carley down in Navarre, Florida. She went to do the custody exchange with that monster, and he wound up killing her and burying her in a shallow grave in Alabama. Cassie Carley, we all remember that. She went to go and do that custody exchange in a similar fashion, but she was by herself. And look at what we got. It's the same thing as this, and that happened in 2021. Now, fast forward, here we are in 2024, and boom, we have a similar situation. I'm just monitoring all social media for anything additional as it pertains to this. So let me save this NewsNation Live and take a peek around. I want to read a couple of things to you because I was late to start doing my research on this, but it says here on a local town crier paper, Veronica Butler, age 27, and Jilian Kelley, age 39, embarked on a journey together on March 30th with the purpose of collecting Butler's children, age 6 and 8. Unfortunately, since then, they've been reported missing under disturbing circumstances, and to say the least, yes. Law enforcement has responded quickly and thoroughly to a bloody scene that was found close to their abandoned vehicle. Veronica Butler, age 27, and Jilian Kelley, age 39, went out to do this custody exchange. And unfortunately, since then, and now we know their bodies have been recovered on pending notification. But they said law enforcement was quickly to respond and recognized quickly a very bloody scene close to their abandoned vehicle and inside that vehicle. This is a frightening incident that takes place in a troubled background on Veronica Butler's life. I question myself too about this tumultuous divorce and custody battle with her husband, Wrangler Cole Rickman. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't really heard a lot about him. Have they cleared him in any wrongdoing? Has Wrangler Cole Rickman been cleared? And I might be maybe being naive here and maybe not knowing because I haven't followed this as close as possible because of my shoulder surgery. But it says that on Saturdays, as required by the court rules, Jilian Kelley is one of the supervisors who helps with scheduled visitation, overseeing Butler's contact with her children during these court-mandated visits. And Kelley is a pastor's wife, even though their connection is characterized as more of an acquaintance than a personal friendship. So disturbing, to say the least, when you read some of the things that are published in regards to this Sad case. I'm monitoring NewsNation and I don't see anything. And guys, I'm going to go to the chat real quick. That girl says the biological father, has been in lockdown drug rehab in Oklahoma. No contact with family. Interesting. You know, it sounds very reoccurring that when we have some situation that develops like this and people go and look, those Kansas City Chiefs fans that were found dead in the backyard, the 3 Kansas City Chief fans, isn't that funny? The home owner there went straight to a rehab and we haven't heard anything about that case either. Interesting, right? Things that make you go, All right, so if you guys are monitoring anywhere, just let me know if this thing goes live. I'm going back to a little bit of older coverage when the arrests were made. So let me just take you back to over the weekend with NewsNation.
Multiple arrests have been made involving the 2 women who disappeared in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. This morning, multiple arrests have been made involving the 2 women who disappeared in Oklahoma 2 weeks ago. Nancy Liu joining us from Hugoton, Kansas with the latest. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Hannah. It's sure to be an emotional Sunday service here at First Christian Church in Hugoton. This is where the husband of Jilian Kelley is the lead pastor. The entire community now is grieving following 2 weeks of hope that Kelley and Veronica Butler would be found safe. Well, the 4 under arrest for first-degree murder and other felony charges, 54-year-old Tiffany Adams, her boyfriend Tad Cullum, and Cole and Cora Twombly. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations is not
the faces of evil, ladies and gentlemen. Susan, thank you for the $20 super chat. She says, Susan King says, that abandoned gas station doesn't look like a place I would want to stop the car. Now, we don't have all the details of how this happened. And I think that the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigators, who were called in by the Texas County Sheriffs at the request of the Texas County Sheriff, they were in over their head. Small local county sheriff's office requested the help from the state, and the state probably requested the FBI to come in. I don't think we have enough publicly known information to know the exact thing that happened. We're left with evidence of massive amount of blood at the crime scene, at the car, and in spots beyond the vehicle. That would lead a seasoned crime scene investigator like Ed Wallace, who will be joining us possibly a little bit later, to talk about crime scene and evidence preservation and how they were able to determine, whose blood was in that car and make the positive identification today by the medical examiner's office. So let's listen. This is a little bit of older coverage from over the weekend. And I say older, it was from Saturday, so not too long ago.
Revealing details about the suspect's alleged crimes or what happened, but a custody fight may be linked to it all. Tiffany Adams is the grandmother of the 2 children Butler was on her way to see on March 30th, and Adams had bitterly fought against more visitation. A custody hearing was set for next week when Butler was expected to seek full custody. Kelley was among 4 court-appointed supervisors for Butler's visitations. They never made it to the usual pickup point at an abandoned gas station in Texas County, Oklahoma. Well, that's where our NewsNation crew captured this exclusive footage of law enforcement closing in on the suspects to execute the 4 arrest warrants in both Texas and neighboring Cimarron County. We spotted more than 20 police and SWAT.
Now, I got to say, as a member of the fugitive enforcement team, and I worked in fugitive enforcement for over a decade. Now I'll put myself back on. This show of force that you see here is for good reason. They had to have good intel that there was a possibility to have a lot of weapons and a lot of there's a lot of possibility that they got intel that this was a very dangerous search warrant to execute. And when you see armored vehicles that look like tanks that are going in there, armored vehicles, you know that it's a heavy. This is a heavy presence, and they don't just do this for nothing.
Vehicles at one point, following them to various locations.
I knew I was going to do that. I was trying to pull it back. Hold on. Let me get it. So now I'm going to have to start over on that.
Made involving the two women who disappeared in Oklahoma 2 weeks.
Oh boy. So coincidentally, guys, I just want you to know I found NewsNation. They have a live stream. They have a live stream scheduled, so I'm waiting. I'm watching their YouTube. It looks like 10:30 instead of 10 o'clock. It's now going to be 10:30, and here it is. Just want to show you guys. I got it all queued up. So we're just waiting on them to start their coverage. So they got a live stream scheduled and ready to go. I want to go to you guys in the chat. What's your thoughts on, charges? We're looking at, first degree murder, and various other charges that were levied against all four of these perpetrators. I didn't do enough research into if the authorities there are looking at capital punishment, or if it's even on the books. I believe it is in that state from my memory from past cases. So let me know what you're thinking. Oh, here we go. Press conference is on. Thank you.
For everybody involved. The mission of the OSBI, though, is to protect Oklahoma one partnership at a time, and certainly this case is an example of how those partnerships work, and how it takes everybody coming together to bring resolution. And so while I am very grateful for all of my agents that have worked since the very beginning, 24 hours a day, to get us to the point we are today, we could not have reached where we're at without the partnerships of the Texas County Sheriff's Office, the District 1 District Attorney's Office, without our FBI partners, and without the assistance of the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office and the Oklahoma Highway Patrol that could not be here. So our condolences go out to the family, and we will continue to update you as we continue to move this investigation forward. And I'm going to now turn it over to our FBI partners. Thank you.
Okay, FBI coming to the podium.
Good morning. My name is Sonia Garcia. I am acting special agent in charge for the Oklahoma City Field Office, FBI. On behalf of the entire FBI, I want to express our sincerest condolences to the family and loved ones of Veronica and Jilian. The FBI was requested to assist on this matter on April 4th, and since then, we've had a dedicated team of analysts, agents, evidence response, and tactical personnel working around the clock and alongside with OSBI and Texas County Sheriff's Office to bring the individuals responsible for this crime into custody and to provide a sense of closure to the families and to this community. Know that we are grieving with you today. We will continue to work with our partners and to be an advocate for Jilian and Veronica and to ensure that justice will be served. Thank you.
My name is Matt Bowley. I am the Sheriff of Texas County, and I would also like to offer our condolences to the family. And my agency's role in this is that we received a call on March 30th of an abandoned vehicle missing, with persons missing from the vehicle. Deputies immediately responded to the area. When they arrived on scene, they found some things that just weren't adding up. So we established a crime scene and then notified the OSBI to have them come and assist us with this and to actually take lead on the case. All right. We established a search party made up of the Guyman Fire Department and several of the volunteer fire departments in the county. And we searched the area around the crime scene for about a mile in each direction. Once the OSBI arrived on the scene, they took the lead and got us to this point where we are today. I'd like to thank the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, especially the Northwest region. They were phenomenal in this. The Federal Bureau of Investigations, the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, Guyman Fire Department, several Kansas agencies that assisted, local agencies here in Texas County that assisted, and I'm sure I've forgotten a few, but I'd like to just say thank you, even to the public. There was a lot of questions from the public as was there any danger to the public? And I from the get-go, once we arrived on scene, and we gained a little bit of information that we felt this wasn't a random deal. All right, we felt that with some of the information coming in that it was more targeted, and we started to look in those areas that we were pointed to. Okay, thank you.
I'm George Harrison Leach III. I'm the district attorney for District 1. I wanted to start to let you know that on Friday, the informations were filed, and they were filed under seal. The reason they were filed under seal was to protect our law enforcement officers and to try to keep the children out of harm's way. We were successful. The shots were fired, and the children were kept out of harm's way. Our district judge issued an order this morning, and those files are now unsealed. So you can get the information at the courthouse, you can get the affidavits at the courthouse, which will give you the facts that we were working off of. Additionally, I would like to begin by, this has been an amazing enterprise. I was reading on social media some of the stuff, and there were people out there that thought law enforcement was asleep, that they weren't doing anything. There were even additional law enforcement agencies, the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, Dallam County Sheriff's Office, Sherman County Sheriff's Office from the state of Texas. Everybody came together and everybody helped. We're probably talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 law enforcement officers. Truly, no exaggeration, working night and day for 15 days. I want to thank the public. We had people calling us from North Texas Panhandle, from the Oklahoma Panhandle, from Southwest Kansas, providing us information, responding because they cared. And the information we received from them was critical. I also want to thank corporate America. I don't know how many search warrants we issued. And I'm telling you, they responded in lightning speed. Anything we needed, any order we sent, we got everything that we needed. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the law enforcement agencies that came together and worked together as a team, and all their personnel. They did a fantastic job. Thank you.
Any additional questions you guys have, go right on ahead.
Is there confirmation at this point that the bodies recovered are Jilian and Veronica?
Not at this time. We have we identified that there were 2 bodies during our search. Both of those deceased persons have been transported to the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office, where they will do a proper identification and also look into a cause and manner of death.
What led to the discovery of the bodies?
Based on the evidence that our agents and local law enforcement were able to obtain, we used that to search a wide area throughout Texas County, and we were able to use those resources in order to find where these 2 bodies were.
Do you know the timeline for when the bodies should be identified?
It's a case-by-case basis, but as soon as we hear back from the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office, we will let the public know.
Can you describe the scene where these bodies were recovered and what state these remains are in?
No, I mean, I can say that it was a very rural area. I cannot state the condition of the bodies.
Is this private property?
I cannot confirm that at this time.
In Oklahoma, there's the death penalty. If convicted, could we possibly maybe see this in this case?
You would have to reach out to the district attorney's office. That'll be something that will be discussed further down the line.
DA Stewart alluded to a lot of people calling in with a lot of tips. Were there particular tips that broke this case?
We received several tips throughout this entire process. The public, I know that we had thanked that our local law enforcement agencies, what they were able to help us and throughout this search, but the people here throughout this area have done a tremendous job of reaching out to us. The original press release that we had put out on March 31st in regards to searching for these two women, we constantly received several tips and had used those throughout the entire 14-day process in order to find these two bodies, and then also discover and find those who were responsible for this crime.
So the reason foul play was suspected was because of evidence found in the car. Can you go into more detail now of what that evidence was?
We cannot still at this time. It is still an ongoing investigation, and that is for our investigative purposes. Again, we can say that the evidence that was discovered inside of that abandoned vehicle and around it, we're able to help our investigators determine that there was foul play involved, and then led to the progression of this investigation. What was in the vehicle around it, we cannot discuss.
It was quite a convoy in executing these 4 search warrants. Was there concern of resistance to arrest? How much concern was there over a possible gunfight?
When you are regarding arrests and multiple arrests in the magnitude that we have all discussed, there is always, there is always a cause of trying to protect the public as best you possibly can. We can say that all 4 of those arrests were made without incident, and so that, of course, went extremely well, and we are extremely grateful. Another agency that wasn't able to make it, that was a big part of that and helped us tremendously, was the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. So we want to thank them tremendously on that. But I mean, again, there was concern, but we are extremely thankful that no one was hurt, no one was injured during this process.
Did any of the 4 suspects charged in the case tell law enforcement where to find them?
Say that one more time.
Did any of the 4 suspects charged in the case tell law enforcement where to find them?
No, we cannot discuss that at this time.
How early did you guys have suspects?
We can't discuss that at this time.
Go into further detail how you believe that this was targeted, not a random act.
Based on the evidence and the information that we were able to obtain throughout the entire investigation, what was found inside of the vehicle, witnesses, family, friends of the victims that we were able to talk to throughout this entire process, we were able to gain the information to determine that that these 4 people were responsible for both of these women going missing.
Also, are you able to confirm if this was over a custody battle?
We cannot confirm that at this time.
What's the relationship, if any, between the suspects and Veronica?
Again, because it is still an ongoing investigation, we cannot discuss that.
We know that 1 arrest was in Texas County, the 3 others in Cimarron. Can you describe the arrest process? You said there was no resistance, but
That's all we can really say at this time. And we can say that the 4 people that we were looking for were found, arrested, and placed into custody within the same day, and there was no resistance.
and obviously you can't talk about the evidence in this case, but is there significant physical evidence in this investigation?
Yes.
Can you elaborate?
No.
Are you able to go into the condition of the bodies found?
No.
Is that reason you guys were so tight-lipped right off the start? You said there wasn't a threat to the public. You guys were investigating, but still not a lot of information was released. Is there a reason for that?
There was not immediate threat to the public. Again, as the sheriff alluded, this was a targeted case. And when you ask about us not releasing a lot of information in that 2-week process, this is the way that our investigators work. This is what you have to do in order to get the job done, everybody involved in order to catch those responsible and do everything in our power to find both of these people who went missing from the very beginning. So again, as we tried to do, as the investigation progresses, we can release as much details as we possibly can. But again, the way that this process works is you can't give away as much as maybe you guys are asking for, because that's how we're able to catch these 4 suspects.
Did law enforcement speak with Tiffany Adams on March 30th?
I cannot confirm that.
Is the property where the bodies were found connected to the suspects at all?
I cannot confirm that.
Was Kelley a court-appointed supervisor for Butler's visit with the children?
We can't go into that.
So I know the bodies haven't been identified, but you know, everyone expressed their condolences. Do you think there's any chance that Veronica and Jilian are still alive?
No.
Any word on arraignment?
We will look into that further. When that is made available, we will let everybody know.
As the investigation progresses, do you expect the possibility for more suspects to be arrested?
Not at this time.
Have the suspects been cooperative and talkative, or have they provided any type of confession?
We cannot release that at this time.
Have the families helped you guys during this process at all? Have you guys?
Yes.
What's that been like?
Families, friends, people that have known both of these women who went missing have been a tremendous help. Everybody that we have talked to has helped us tremendously in doing everything they can to give us the necessary information in order for us to try to track them down and find out what happened.
Where are the children?
We can't go into that right now.
Are they?
They're safe. Yes. Children are safe. We can't go into that.
Now that the FBI is involved, will they face any federal charges?
We're not going to go into that right now.
So what next? Is there going to be further investigation?
Yes, the investigation continues. The next steps are when the identification of the 2 victims is made, we will let everyone know. And when the cause and manner of death is made by the medical examiner's office, we will let everyone know. Right?
Were the bodies together?
We cannot confirm that. Right now, there are no suspects at large. The public is not in danger. That's what's important to us. We are extremely grateful that we were able to locate and arrest the 4 people that we believe are responsible for this crime. As soon as the identification is made with the bodies, we will let everyone know. But again, it took everybody in this case to get this done. We know that there were people throughout the 2-week process who were frustrated, who wanted answers as soon as possible. You know, we wanted those answers too. But just know that our OSBI agents, FBI agents, troopers, Kansas Bureau of Investigation, the KHP, everybody worked nonstop in order to come together and make these arrests.
Can you talk at all about the relationship?
No, we can't go into that right now.
Was there ever any concern for the children at any point in this investigation? Like for their safety?
There's always concern whenever there's children involved, but we can say that the children are safe.
With this being such a rural area, did this make this case unique in any ways?
It made it challenging. Again, you're talking about northern Texas County, near that Kansas line. It's very rural. Those of you in the media that have been up there covering this, there's not a lot of homes, not a lot of buildings or businesses. Sometimes you could use cameras to help you in this case. We did not have that. So that's what made it extremely challenging.
Is there any video evidence?
Not at this time.
Have you ever seen a case like this? Is there anything different about it?
The OSBI covers all kinds of cases. Each case is different in their own way. They're all just as important to us. But, you know, this case was tragic. You have 2 people who are dead, and 4 people that committed an absolutely brutal crime. And so, again, that's why it took every agency involved in this in order to get this done.
Those 4 are still being held here?
Yes. Is everybody good? Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Gene, for
I'm going to go back to the beginning because I missed this.
everybody involved. Gene, for everybody involved. This case did not end the way we had hoped. It has certainly been a tragedy for everybody involved. The mission of the OSBI, though, is to protect Oklahoma one partnership at a time. And certainly this case is an example of how those partnerships work, and how it takes everybody coming together to bring resolution. And so while I am very grateful for all of my agents that have worked since the very beginning, 24 hours a day, to get us to the point we are today, we could not have reached where we're at without the partnerships of the Texas County Sheriff's Office, the District 1 District Attorney's Office.
All right, I just wanted to hear who that was. So it was a representative and investigator from Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations. All right, so what we had is a whole bunch of nothing. They couldn't give us much information. The district attorney made statements that the charges were filed on Friday for the murders under seal for the protection of the children and law enforcement who are investigating it. You know, somebody said in the chat, and probably multiple people are saying this, why hold a press conference when you're not going to give out any information? Well, I'll say this to you. They do this to give out what they can, but they're not going to give up the shop and risk these 4 monsters being released on a technicality or giving out too much information before they're represented by legal counsel. So they're not going to, in a press conference, state anything that's going to jeopardize the investigation. And I know you guys hate to hear this, but it is the fact. It is a fact that they cannot and will not jeopardize anything to just feed curiosity. And, you know, it's a reporter's job to ask the questions, but really we didn't get any questions answered. The DA talked about the public and how they were not confident. Public was not confident that the police were doing and investigators doing their job, but in fact, they were working night and day. They were asked what led to them to the body, what kind of info. He didn't answer that. He also said that it was an amazing collaboration and praised law enforcement. He mentioned the public were concerned, like I said, that they weren't doing enough. And then we heard from FBI agent Tanya Garcia, and she talked a little bit about the partnership and the cooperation that they received on a state and local level. So, you know, Texas County Sheriff came in there. He gave a little bit of a talk. And again, the documents that are now unsealed are going to be an interesting read. This has been extended coverage of the press conference. I wanted to just give you my thoughts. No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the federal, state, and local partners gave nothing here. But I am surprised that, I'll tell you this, they know the identification right now, but they just officially are not ready to release it. The medical examiner's office, it doesn't take long to make identification. When he was asked, when the representative at the end of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations public information officer, we saw him in many other interviews, when he was asked, is there a chance that these 2 women, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley, are still alive? He unequivocally and very quickly said no. So that tells you something right there. That gives you a little bit of an insight into that they do in fact know. Like I said, there's no reason to release information quickly because they have their perpetrators in custody and they want to build their case. And soon we will see. There'll be people like Melanie Little will be talking about these released court documents. I'm not sure how much information, if it will be a treasure trove of information or not, whatever they release will probably be heavily redacted. And, you know, I'm not going to go into it in this particular live stream, but it is something to talk about as it pertains to this case. So let's look to the chat, hashtag DutyRon, for any of your questions. Please fire away, and I'll look to the questions in the chat. So let me just go back up and say thank you, Barbara George, for the kudos, and thank you for being a member for over 13 months. Texas Lassie, thank you for being a member for, over 50 months in the platinum level. Thank you so much. Monogamous Apostate, thank you for becoming a YouTube member. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wendy, thank you for the super sticker. I think we're all caught up as of now. Let me look at the chat quickly. Pete and Richella Pranzo, thank you for being here. Hi, Mystique. Beamer 650, and with Beamer means Lexi is here. Not too many questions in the chat. Well, again, this has been extended coverage of the live press conference update on Kansas City moms who are now deceased. We've confirmed they are now deceased. They did not confirm their identities, but in that press conference, it was clear and apparent that they already knew, and they were waiting for official release. And official release comes from the medical examiner's office. So that's what we have here. Definitely, what I read between the lines is basically that they know they have what they need. And we know from our good friend Barbara Butcher, who worked at the New York City medical examiner's office, making identification through DNA and so forth is not a lengthy process, and it can be done if you have the proper medical examiner's office. And I believe where they went is a well-equipped medical examiner's office. So thank you so much to the new subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed here, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon, retired NYPD detective from fugitive enforcement. And a lot of these searches and a lot of things, like when I showed you the raid out at that home, at that location, which sits on hundreds of acres, we've seen that even in New York City, where you have not obviously that kind of land, but that type of manpower. When you see those armored vehicles coming, it's for a heavy. And these people were up to a lot of no good. So when you're going out to make an arrest for 4 people who either conspired or committed murder in the first degree, you're going to go in with all the heavy equipment. So let's see here. Monogamous says, do you think locals helped? They probably wanted these people out of their community. He said the public was very helpful. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we won't know. But I would say wholeheartedly, I do not doubt that the public did come forward with as much information as possible. So, yeah, great question. Thank you, guys. All right, listen, I got to run because I've got to get to physical therapy for this arm. So I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for my total tear of my rotator cuff. I had surgery on March 26th. So I'm going to go and do some physical therapy so I can start using my right hand again instead of just leaning it on the table. I want to thank all of my moderators and the replay viewers and folks who left comments and super chats, birthday wishes for me. Ed Wallace is traveling, so it's going to be a difficult thing for us to get together with that 12-hour difference. Thank you, Darla. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Rosemary, your insight is appreciated and greatly invaluable. Thank you, Rosemary J. I appreciate that. Sherilyn, thank you. Becky B. All the good ones are here. Simi Sharp. Rassler's mom, have a wonderful day. Yes, look out for Melanie Little. She's going to be doing some coverage later on this. Her insight as a retired attorney is invaluable because she goes over all the details and the charges. So if you're not subscribed, she's one of my recommended channels in the recommended list, attorney Melanie Little. She's going to be doing coverage later on this thing. And I hope you guys all go over there and sub up and subscribe to her and check her out. Debbie, thank you for being here. Thank you for the well wishes. I appreciate you guys. You guys are super, super, super kind Sharon, always great to see you. And thank you to everyone who sent me messages and suggestions on what to watch and where to watch this. So I got a lot of suggestions. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace and love from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Let me just pull up give me just 2 seconds here. I want to just do one thing before we circle out of here. All right, friends. So, again, this concludes the live press conference on our missing moms who are now murdered moms, Veronica Butler and Jilian Kelley. I want to send her children, those extended families, strength, prayers, and positive vibes. This is what it's about. Let's not lose focus on the victims and their families. Again, prayers and a moment of silence for these two victims of senseless crime, murder. Jilian Kelley, Veronica Butler, continue to rest in peace. Thank you all for joining. God bless.